how do you help people if they don't know your story? Like, how do you help people realize, I too can stop drinking and doing all these stupid things. I can make a life beyond my wildest dreams, if I just put down the bottle. Or I just feel like you can't help people if they don't know your story.
Welcome to the Details Podcast. I'm your host, Dan Williams, Dan E. Williams, and today I have yet another special guest from the world of car culture and racing, Kelly, Full Throttle Fabulous Anderson. Kelly, how are you doing today?
Hello, I am fabulous. Thank you so much for having me on today. Truly an honor.
Now, is it hard for you to say that you're just fabulous without saying full throttle at the beginning of that?
I could use any of those words. Full throttle fabulous.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for joining me today. I've been following you on social media for a while, and I'm just honored to have you come in here and sit down as another racer. As you may know, I've interviewed Indy 500 champions, people who are amateur racers, young people coming up in racing, and I'm just fascinated with all of it across the board. Do you like other racing as well, or are you really just synced in on drag racing specifically?
Well, drag racing has got my heart for sure, but I do love all motorsports. I really do. We go out, we'll go spectate. Well, we have gone out to see the land speed racing, which this year we're going to give it a go. So we're going to add that to our resume of activities. We're going to give that a go. And, I figure we could put our feelers out everywhere and get the most out of this life that we possibly can, because time's ticking. I'm not getting any younger, and I want to experience as much as possible. We would go to the circle track and watch the demolition derby, and my partner Maria does derbies. And we we go to the NHRA. I'd like to go to the Indy 500 one day. Went to watch the Long Beach Grand Prix recently, which was cool. I want to go shotgun on, they have the 2-seater car, and I want to go in that for a test run. So, yeah.
Man, that land speed racing, that's like drag racing, but you actually get to do it for more than a few seconds.
Yeah, so at El Mirage, it's 1 mile. At the big one, Bonneville, that's 5 miles. But we are just going to do El Mirage. The cars, so what's different is the launch. See, I'm all about the wheelie and the torquey launch and but land speed racing does not have that. It's a slow launch. Sometimes they push start the car with the truck. So it's mellow, but you go a mile. And it's just a totally different experience, but I want to give it a go. I have the opportunity to, so I might as well give it a try and see what I think.
What kind of vehicle do you do that in?
I am not sure what car they're going to put me in. Some of my friends connected me with some organizations. I haven't talked with them yet exactly, but I am not sure. One of the guys was going to put me in a Honda. It was like 120 mile an hour in the mile, so it's not too fast. But you don't know unless you give it a go, and I want to just see what it's all about.
Yeah, I think I've done that on the freeway.
Yeah, right. Daily. Don't tell on us.
All right. So let's do this. Let's jump into the Wayback Machine. And from the research that I did from you, I don't have a whole bunch from the early Kelly. I really have from after getting sober and starting to race. So I want to go back a little bit further. And this is kind of a little off the wall question, but it's super relevant to me in my life. Tell me the very first memory you ever have of washing, detailing, touching, cleaning a car of any kind.
Oh goodness. I wasn't really too car oriented. My first car was a Ford Maverick. I think it was gosh, I don't even know what year that car was. My husband, we were dating back then. He loved that car. So, but I wasn't a big fan of it. It was like a baby blue. It was the color of the Ford Mavericks back then. Um, and so, I mean, I guess I would, gosh, probably when I was 16, really, when I had to wash my own car. Mm.
So Ford Maverick. Now that makes a
Yeah,
pretty darn nice a Vega or a Maverick makes a pretty darn nice, dragster too.
yeah,
You didn't even
right.
have a thought about that, huh?
Nope, I didn't know, but I did get that car on 2 wheels once back when I was 16,
2
turning the
on the
corner,
side or 2 this way?
2 on the side, turning the hairpin turn. I was like, "Arr!" I was like, "Oh my gosh." Yeah.
Where did you grow up?
I'm from Wisconsin. So I was born in Kenosha, Wisconsin. Then we moved to Katy, Texas when I was in 6th and 7th grade. Then we moved to New Jersey, Edison, New Jersey, when I was in 8th grade. And then Covina, California, when I was 9th grade. And then to Glendora through my high school, finished out my high school years. So my dad was involved in computers because everyone always goes, was he in the military? Nope. He was in computers before computers were a thing. So we moved around a little bit.
Huh. Now you kinda mentioned that, like, you really didn't have a before sobriety, you really didn't have a direction. I mean, gosh, you had a family and all of this other stuff, so there had to be some direction, but, like, you didn't have a dream, or
Yeah.
goals. Can you explain, like, what your life was like before that?
Oh, well, I mean, the alcoholism didn't take full effect till close to the end, but I mean, I was pretty much born alcoholic. So, that is true. No goals, no dreams. Like, I kind of just wake up Groundhog Day, kind of like every day was the same. Take the kids to school, just hang out, like do whatever I wanted because I didn't work. I am a licensed hairdresser. So when I was in high school, I went to ROP, got my cosmetology license. So I'm still licensed, but I don't really work with that. Excuse me. And so the years went by, and as with alcoholism, it just kind of gets worse and worse. And towards the end of my sobriety, it was just a disaster. And I was just like waking up to drink, to pass out, to come to, um, just to get by.
As somebody else who has kinda gone through this too, were there any, like, glimpses or peaks of, like, who you were gonna become after it that, like, maybe you didn't even recognize while you were in the middle of your addiction?
Well, like my sister would always say she knew I was going to be a star. She's like, "You're going to be a star." I did not see that in myself. I really didn't have confidence. I didn't, yeah, I didn't really feel that good about myself. And really, why should I have? Because I wasn't a very productive member of society. But thankfully, I had a very stable husband. He believed in me. He never gave up on me. And yeah, so many times he would say, "You got to get sober, or I'm leaving." And I was like, "Whatever. I don't really care. Just leave me then." And the very last time he said it, and I was like, "Okay, that's it. I'm gonna go to rehab. I'm checking myself in. This can't continue." Like I knew it was time to just surrender. My sponsor at the time, Marlene, she told me, when you go in there, you tell them everything. You just open up about everything. Don't be shy. Don't be holding secrets. Just be open and honest and let it all out. And I did. My counselor was amazing. And I mean, I was only in for 30 days. Sadly, it didn't stick. I did relapse when I got out, but soon after my husband caught me and said, "That's it. It's me or the drinking." And I finally just fully surrendered, and then I quit. I stopped. I started doing AA meetings and going to church and getting into small groups and a lot of things, to fill my time, to give me tools to be the best person I could be. And then I became a health coach. So I became a health coach for an optimal health program.
Well, wait,
I
let's
lost.
slow
Okay.
down. When we're on the drag strip, we gotta go really fast. But when we're doing an interview, if you tell the whole darn story right now, we'll be like, "All right, well, it was awesome to talk to you, and thank
Right.
you so much." So I
Right?
and again, I've kinda gone through some of this myself. I quit drinking June 3rd, 1998. And,
Nice.
so I wanna dig in just a little bit more to
Mhm.
that side, if it's okay with you.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay. So can you tell me a little bit, like, did you come from a family that that had other people who were addicted or alcoholics? As, like, I can look back at my own journey, and, like, I just thought growing up that drinking is what you did as an adult. And my parents, my dad and my stepdad were both in the Navy, and, like, I just come from a drinking family. So I literally
Right.
thought that's what it meant to be an adult. Did you have that kind of an upbringing, or where did you start to introduce yourself to alcohol?
Oh, gosh. So my first interaction with alcohol was when I was probably 7 or 8 and Christmas time and the family's having some grasshoppers. It's a cream de mint ice cream drink. And I had one. I was like, wow, that's delicious. I love it. I love the way I feel. So that's why I know I was born alcoholic. Like it was in me, the obsession of the mind. So I liked it right off the bat. And then in high school is when it started really regularly. Go to my friend Richie's house. We would drink at the bar in the living room. It was right big front window. We'd all sit at the bar drinking beers off tap. And yeah, I mean, it was really my story all along. Like I've always drank ever since I was young. And um I remember when I was in 6th grade, I think 6th or 7th grade, I moved to Texas and I went to the skating rink and I drank a whole bottle of Tickle Pink, which is
Boone's
wine.
Farm, baby.
Boone's Farm, baby. I go way back.
Was it
Yep.
straight, or did you mix it with Sprite?
No, no, straight. Boy'd you mix it with Sprite.
I don't
It's
that's what we
delicious. That stuff was good.
so funny. Ah,
So, I mean, really, alcohol was always a part of my story, sadly. But when you go to AA and people would say, "I'm a grateful alcoholic," and I was mad. I'm like, "I am not grateful that I have to do this crap." Um, Today I am grateful. I'm very grateful because if I wasn't an alcoholic, I wouldn't have these tools because I wouldn't have to press into the outer things and press into God and press into the 12 steps and working with others and all these things. When I first went to AA and they were like, "Okay, you have character defects." And I was like, "I don't have any character defects. I'm not the problem." Boy, was I wrong. So,
well,
yeah, a
so
lot of growth.
yeah, so it's a really kind of a progressive thing. At what point, like, if I kind of look back at mine, at first everything was okay. Then I went to college, and then I started getting a little bit of trouble, and like the wheels started falling off, or it started crumbling around the sides. At what point did you start noticing that it was affecting your relationships and your, just your everyday living?
Gosh, not until much later. Like, I was just such a free spirit and, like, a party girl. I mean, I never really went out, so I drank at home, so I wasn't getting myself into trouble, so that's probably why it lasted longer. Like, I didn't get arrested, yet, because if I go back out, I probably will. And, I, so I never got in trouble or anything, so it wasn't like the outside, like, you know what I mean? When people get in trouble out there and arrested, then you're like, "Oh, I have consequences to my actions." Well, I never really had consequences to my actions because I was at home drinking alone or having some friends over and drinking with them. Um, so gosh, I don't think it really until the last 5 years of drinking. I mean, it was always bad because I was a blackout drunk since I was young, but, I didn't really realize it. Like, I never had a problem admitting I was an alcoholic, but, yeah, until I got older and it was when my son, gosh, he was a youngster. Yeah, he hated it. Poor kid. I mean, he didn't deserve it. He's such a nice little person, and, he got the brunt of it, really. He had to see me passed out and oblivious and yeah, ugly, ugly. It wasn't a pretty time.
Yeah. And nobody ends up going to a rehab or that kind of facility because life is going swell.
True.
What kinda was that final moment for you? And and you kinda already shared too, which similar for me. The first time didn't really stick,
Right.
but, you know, so you get out, you go in there, and you have that moment of clarity, and you go in. You're picking up what they're putting down, but you probably the whole time you have this feeling in your stomach when you're like, "Oh, you know, thinking, yeah, I'm gonna go drink. This isn't fair. It doesn't make any sense why I can't do it."
I actually was surrendered on that one, but, I just didn't do what I needed to do. There's a lot of triggers. So, my husband would go fishing a lot, and that was a trigger. So I was like, "Woo, free weekend. I can drink without being bitched at or, nagged at or whatever." So, I was going to the Joyce Meyer conference that weekend, and my husband had gone fishing, and he left before me, so I was like, and I had been sober for, I don't know, a few months. And I was like, well, I'll just get a six-pack of beer. I'll just drink six. That's more than enough. Well, I drank one before I left my house. Then I drove out to Long Beach to stay at a hotel where the conference was. And then I drank the other five, and then it was game on. And I drank, yeah, I drank and I drank and I drank and I was like detoxing and shaking, and it was not good. And oh gosh, I'm so glad those days are over, really. It's not the way to live. So, probably a few weeks after that Joyce Meyer conference is when he caught me drinking. And that's when he said, "That's it. That's it. We're done. Like, you don't get any more choice, any more chances on this drinking thing."
Wow.
And
So you, I know a lot of times, you know, you can't do it for somebody else, or at least what in
right.
when I look at it, I think, okay, you have to hit whatever your personal bottom is. You know,
Yep.
for some people, it can be not as bad, and you watch some people swirl down the
Yep.
drain and go all the way to the bottom. I mean, for
Yep.
me, I had to end up with basically being homeless for a while, and I was like, this is ridiculous.
Yeah, right. Well,
Uh,
thank God you came to terms with it. Like, you were like, "Oh, heck no, this ain't happening." Because
yeah.
some people like it.
Yeah, and gosh, think about when you were in rehab, like, you see some of the people in there who are, like, really older and, you know, it's kind of a little too late for them, and what
Yeah.
a tragedy that really is.
Right. Yeah, well,
That
I was blessed. My husband went to Al-Anon and started going to church, and that was a big game changer because we actually started communicating, and, he was like I would be like, "So why do I drink? Why is this way, and why?" And he would answer, and we could have communications where we weren't fighting, like, "Stop drinking," or he'd record me drunk, or, everything you're not supposed to do to a drunk, because he didn't know, because he wasn't in Al-Anon. So then he goes to Al-Anon, gets some tools, and, that was the beginning, and then him going to church and him working on himself and him not focusing on me anymore, but focusing on him, I think was a huge game changer.
you said something really, really interesting, and I've often thought, if I had to face myself in those, like, oh my goodness, I'm glad that nobody had cell phones with video cameras in
Yeah.
my day, right? But if I always thought if I had to face myself and I had to see how horrible of a person I was actually being, that might have done something. You're saying that he did do that and videoed you.
Oh, yeah.
What
Yeah, but it wasn't going over well.
so walk me through what went on in your head. Not only what you were verbally, you know, putting up the front because you were offended by it to him and pissed off about it, but in your own head, in the middle, in that middle part
Yeah.
of your brain, what did you think when you saw that?
I was more mad than anything. I didn't even watch it. I was like, "Don't even." Like, we got into a huge argument over it. It doesn't go over well, and so that's why I know for other people, you really can't do that tactic because it ain't gonna work. It's just gonna make them mad, and they're gonna go, "I'll show you drunk." So it doesn't open your eyes seeing yourself like that. It just kind of pisses you off, and yeah, it doesn't really do what you would hope it would do. Like, look, you're being an idiot.
Could you
No,
imagine that being on social media?
God, that would be bad. Thank God there's none of those videos around of
Right,
me.
right.
Oh gosh. And one beautiful thing, my grandchildren have never seen me drunk. I've never been drunk since I've had grandchildren. So grateful for that. And God willing, they never have to.
Yeah. I moved to California after I quit drinking, and in
Okay.
1999, and all the people that I know here, like, they are like, "I can't even imagine you drunk," and I'm like,
Right?
"Perfect."
Exactly. Exactly.
Okay. Alright, so you describe a moment when you're getting sober, like, that you dropped to your knees in tears, and that was
Yeah.
probably your moment. Can you walk me kinda through that moment in time?
Yes, I mean, it is like the darkest day and the most joyous moment all mixed into one. I remember I got out of my shower and I was in there bawling and I was like, I just cannot do this anymore, God. I need you, God. And I got on my knees and I just cried out to God and he really did rescue me that moment. I got very involved in my church and uh I've gone to a few different churches and I was in small groups and Celebrate Recovery, which is a Christ-based recovery program. I became a leader. I was a greeter at the church. Like I got very, very plugged in, which is awesome. But you still have to have a life outside of that kind of stuff. When you get too plugged into all these other things, then it's like you're almost not focusing on yourself either.
You're
So
substituting.
yeah, exactly. You know how we are. More, more, more.
Well, and so it sounds like you really leaned on a higher power,
Yeah.
which was really good for you. So in those early days, what was were you confident on your second run through that it was gonna stick? Or was there a moment when you were, like, going into it and you're like, "Hey, this is the right path for me."
I feel like it was the right path for me for sure. Right off the bat. I don't think I questioned it really. Not that I haven't had times where I wanted to drink. There's times when, things are going rough and I'm like, you know what? I mean, there's like going to be a big breakthrough right around the corner because I know how this goes. It's like dark, dark, dark days, and you hang in there and you press into God, and then boo, like level up. You made it through the test. You can handle it. You can level to the next level. And um, yeah, but we are never safe. I don't care if you have 50 years of sobriety, you're never safe. Something could take you out. There's times when I'm like, you know what? I want to throw it all away. Like, I really do. I just don't care. I just want to go get a bottle, chug it down. But then I just know it's just never ending obsession of the mind. You'll never get to the point you're looking to get to. And like I tell people, you're like never gonna really want to give up your addiction. We like it. That's why it's our addiction. We like doing those things that we do. But there comes a time when you decide that my life cannot continue down this path. And to get to things in life that are going to make me successful and joyful and all that, I have to give up the bad stuff. So,
Yep,
so yeah,
absolutely.
I was grateful that God got a hold of me that day.
Yeah. So, I and then, you got your racing stuff now, which it's easy to dive into. Do you find that afterwards, after the addiction, like, it's really easy to just go full in, almost more than most people would, to no matter what you're gonna pursue? Because I think that's honestly, I think that's the one quality that I've had that's gotten me to where I am, is just this tenacity that, partially came from being so bullheaded when I was drinking.
Right? I agree. Absolutely. I am definitely an extremist. If I like it, I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna do it a lot. And yeah, well, hashtag wheelies are my drug of choice. I love to pop wheelies, and that is my drug.
Awesome.
I tell people I've done a lot of drugs in my day. Nothing compares to a wheelie. Nothing.
Yeah. It's so neat to find things, and, gosh, and then you see other people who are still stuck in that addiction, and,
I
like, you
know.
you kinda feel sorry for them in a sense, but in another sense, you're like, "Man, that's you you can stop that.
Yep.
You actually really can."
Right? I know. It's hard because I know what it's like being stuck in addiction, but yet I don't have as much sympathy as I should sometimes. And I'm like, just don't do it anymore. Could you not keep relapsing? Could you get your stuff together? Like, just don't use, just don't do it. But, we know it's not that easy. If it was, the whole world could stop.
Right.
And
Right,
there's a
and
lot of
I
messes out there.
I don't think anybody would really choose that life and all of the
Right?
wreckage that comes with it.
Right? I
Just
know.
alright. Well, thank you so much for sharing that part with me. I mean, I was really
Yes.
excited and, do you find that putting that part in, because now you're kind of like an influencer and you're in the public eye. Do you find that it's important to put that part of your story out there as well to kinda make where you are more relevant?
Yeah, and how do you help people if they don't know your story? Like, how do you help people realize, huh, I too can stop drinking and doing all these stupid things. I can make a life beyond my wildest dreams, if I just put down the bottle. Or I just feel like you can't help people if they don't know your story. And what's our purpose? To help people.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay.
Hmm.
Now let's get into the racing part, which is how
Yep.
we actually met.
Yep.
You tell a story about being with a life coach and doing a napkin drill and writing down that you wanted to drag race cars. Walk me through that story and kind of tell me like if it wasn't even really something that you had thought about before, how the heck did
Right?
you think about it?
Right? I mean, it really is wild. It's pure God stuff. So I was an optimal health coach, and our mentor coaches, we would like go to breakfast once a week, well, usually a couple times a week, and get healthy breakfast. We were losing weight, looking good, feeling great. And they poured so much goodness into me that I started getting confidence in myself. And it was amazing, really. And my husband was going out to Irwindale and he was spectating with his buddies. And I went to a coach's breakfast and I said, they did the napkin dreaming. And you write your goal, your dreams down a napkin. And I put, I want a drag race. And I honestly did not know where that came from. I don't know. I don't even think I went and spectated yet. So I don't even know why that would have come out, but God did. God knew. So I wrote that out. I go home that night and I go, babe, I want a drag race. And he's like, okay, take the 6-cylinder Camaro. And so we put an exhaust system on the Camaro. It's a 6-cylinder. So it sounds like a 6-cylinder with an exhaust system. It's horrible. I wasn't a car person, so I didn't know it would sound ridiculous. So I'm like, there is no way I'm taking that car to the drag strip and running that thing. It sounds ridiculous. And he's like, okay. So he takes it to the shop, which is down by my house. And he calls me, says, come pick me up. I'm getting the car done. I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm going to drag race tomorrow. Like, holy moly. So take the car, go down to Irwindale. And my friend Dan Marquez, he rode shotgun with me because he's a drag racer and he works at the shops down by us. And he rode shotgun with me and he was, helping me and telling me where to bump in at and all this stuff, which was awesome to have him there. That was a game changer. And then, um, oh goodness, how could I forget his name right now? JT. Oh, JT Hubs. When I was teching my car, he was like, hey, you're new. And I was like, oh yeah, my first time. And he's telling me how to get a perfect reaction time. And so on my fourth pass, between Daniel and JT's words, I got my perfect reaction time. So I got my very first perfect reaction time, fourth pass ever down the drag strip. So I was definitely hooked right off the bat. I mean, I see videos of me driving down the return road. I love the return road. That was like my favorite thing. I love the return road.
So your husband was going out to watch the races, but he wasn't racing. There was nobody in your immediate circle that was racing.
Mm-mm, no one.
It truly was out of left field. Maybe you were like, "Well, he's going to this, so I wanna do whatever he's going to watch." Maybe there was
Not
something.
really.
No?
We weren't just really hanging out too much. So I ended up so one night we went on a date night and I got all dressed up all cute because I was like slim and toned. I was looking good. And I got all dressed up and went to the track to watch the spectators. And I was like, these young kids could do this. So I must have, yeah, I already had gone before I napkin dreamed, but not much, not long. And it wasn't like I ever envisioned this life. Like I never in a million years would have thought I'd be a drag racer ever. I did like to drive fast, but never in a million years would this have ever crossed my mind how, yeah, I mean, it's amazing, really. Um, but so
Okay. So you get the six-cylinder car and you're like you're have the wherewithal enough to say it doesn't sound right, so I'm not going to take it on the track because you
Uh-huh.
just didn't think it was cool. It wasn't
Right.
a big old car like
It
that.
was sounded yeah, it was ridiculous.
Um, so you that car was named Claire and your car
Yep,
now is named Stacy.
yep.
Why and where did these names come from?
So, my car, Claire, my six-cylinder Camaro, my son Nicholas named her that, Claire the Camaro. That was his dream car when he was little, and it was one of my dream cars, so it was pretty cool. We got it, he named her. And then I named my car Stacy because of the song Stacy's Mom. Um, you can see it, probably flips it. I don't know if you can read it.
Mhm.
Stacy's mom, right there. Because Stacy's mom in the song, Stacy's mom's got it going on. My daughter was like, "You have to name your car Stacy." I was like, "Ah, that is awesome." So I named her Stacy because I'm Stacy's mom and I got it going on.
Well, do you think you have, like, a tighter bond with these cars because you have this name to them?
I
And
definitely have a bond.
is that something that you've been with all of your cars your whole life? Did you give them a name, or is this just, like, since the
I
race
don't
car
think
thing?
so. I'm not sure if I did. I don't remember cars. Yeah, I don't think I ever gave them names before, but I definitely have a bond, and the bond with Stacy is it's so intimate. It really is because there's moments of my life that are spent inside of her where there's no one else around, and some of the most joyous moments of my life are spent in the car alone. And I mean, I just absolutely love my car, Stacy, so much. She is like a person. She is like a lover. She's my world. Honestly,
Yeah.
I just can't imagine my life without her.
So I those moments, I read in when I was, reading about you that, the return road is, like, one of your moments, and I'm gonna just imagine that the other one is when you pull up to that, tree and you're waiting for the light to go. Can you
Yes.
tell me about that the moment when you pull up to the tree, like, what's going through your mind and how do you feel? And
Gosh. I mean, honestly, I'm a spazoid, and the only time I'm calm is when I'm staging my car. So pulling up to the light, you get the first light lit, and then you try to, if you race somebody, then you wait for them to get their top bulb lit, and then you just roll. Got the brake. Well, I'm a foot braker, so I don't have a trans brake. So I bump the car, and I just a little. You kind of just gas a little bit to lift the brake, and kind of gas a little bit, so you bump and then you get the second light on, then you wait for them to get their light. And that is the only time in my life that I'm actually just zen city. Like I am so relaxed. Unless I'm racing somebody I really don't like. And then I'm like, oh God, please don't let me lose.
mm,
But other than that, I mean, it's just so lovely. It's the most beautiful feeling to be staging my car. Mm,
yeah. And then like that, it's over. So
yep.
that part goes by super duper quick. And then tell me about that moment when you're done, when you're sitting there, like after that probably wash of adrenaline starts to it's still there kicking, but it's,
Yeah.
the big nerve starts to fade out.
Yeah. So, I mean, there's the different things. So, something that I've one time I went down the return road really mad because I did really bad. And first of all, as a fan, most of the time people don't know what happened. If you won, if you lost, they just like your car, they like you. So, I decided after the one time I went down the return road really mad that I would never do that again because I'm not going to give someone a first impression of me that isn't really truly who I am. And so I'll pull off, I'll take off the jacket, I'll cool down, I'll wait till my head is cooled and I can smile because honestly, the fans don't really care whether you win, lose, stink it up. They don't care. They love you. Like they're cheering. They're so excited. And so I try to never ever go down the return road upset. I try, even if I'm like mad inside, I'll still wave and rev and do the thing because they enjoy that. So it's all about the fans. Um and and the return road is glorious. Like I am that's something I'm gonna miss so much is Irwindale's return road. That is such a beautiful experience. I've even had my husband meet me at the end, get in the car and record standing up so he can experience the return road. So that is something that not everybody gets to experience, and it's amazing. Such an amazing experience.
Yeah. And, gosh, Irwindale just, shut down, and I know, like, when I go out to the races, I went to this one here where my buddy Eddie was driving his Gremlin,
Oh.
a month or 2 ago, and they're gonna do another one here, the No Prep Syndicate thing. But
Oh, yeah,
but
yeah, yeah,
at
Jerry.
all of these darn races, there's, like, even when you look at the big ones for the NHRA, like, there's hardly anybody there in the crowds, which makes, sponsorships, and I just it seems like it's really hard to get sponsorships and to really grow in that field, um, with that. Now you have, like, gotten to do some really cool stuff, and, like, you were on a show with Kevin Hart and Stone
Oh,
Cold
yeah.
Steve Austin, and,
Yep.
you put a feather in the cap with, the Details podcast with Dan Williams. I'm sure
That's
that
right.
that'll be going into all of them now. But, how the heck did you get those opportunities?
Oh, so the Kevin Hart show, Tim Huddleston had called me and said, "Do you know who Kevin Hart is?" I'm all, "Kevin Hart?" And I honestly, I don't really watch TV, but I mean, everyone knows who Kevin Hart is. I was like, "Kevin Hart?" And he's like, "Yeah, the comedian." I go, "Oh, yeah." He's like, "Do you want to be on a show with him?" And I said, "Yeah, of course." So that was the first time. That was the first opportunity. And then I connected with Blake, the producer. He called me right after. And then so me and Blake kept in touch. And then so we filmed on Kevin Hart's show 3 times. And then Blake had called me a second time and asked if I wanted to do the Stone Cold Steve Austin show. That was going to be either shot at Irwindale or Vegas, but they ended up shooting it at Irwindale. So that was a really fun experience. That was a long day. It's amazing for a 15-minute show. It's like 12, 13 hours.
Yeah.
But it was an awesome opportunity. And for some reason, Stacy gets stage fright because or I choke or something happens, but
Mhm.
backfires. So I was lining up with my buddy Ron for the Stone Cold show, and I had a huge backfire, and my car didn't run. But if my car would have run, then I wouldn't have been announcing a lot of stuff. So I almost had more airtime because I didn't race than if I would have raced my car. So I mean, it's like a blessing in disguise.
So cool. So, what other doors did those opportunities, I mean, those are pretty darn spectacular, but what other doors did that open for you?
Well, gosh, what else have we I mean, we did a lot of radio shows, we've done a lot of podcasts. I had my own podcast for a little bit. A friend of mine, Glenn, had a dream of having a video podcast. And his son and him were working on it, and his son passed away. So it kind of had stopped for a little bit. And then he met me and he was like, "Oh my gosh, you'd be perfect." We did a few shows and he ended up his hard drive crashed and he lost like 3 of the shows we taped. And then it just ended up we just kind of stopped doing that. So, I wasn't looking to do a podcast, and what I have found is that is definitely not my calling. I am not a good interviewer. I'm a better interviewee, I guess you would say. I don't listen well. I'm not like one to sit, listen, take stuff in, and like have good verbiage back. It's just not my calling. My calling is drag racing.
Yeah. I've been doing this for a while, and, gosh, if I listen back to the early ones, I really needed to learn to shut my mouth.
Oh, see, I feel that. That's me. I don't feel like it was my call, but you're great at it.
Oh,
You do a
thanks.
great job. You have a calm level, like, yeah, it's smooth. I like it.
Oh, thanks. I tried to just actually approach it from a real place of curiosity, not like I'm from ESPN, because 'cause I'm not.
Right. Right, right. Awesome. I love it.
Okay, so you talk about the fans, and they're not necessarily there to see you win, or they are, or lose, but,
Right.
how about the interactions with the fans? I know like, at these races, the fans can come back and walk through the pits and everything.
Mhm.
Do you have a really neat memory that you can share of an interaction that you had with a fan that's really just kinda stuck with you?
Gosh, I mean, so many really, like, so many interactions. If you see on my wall back here, if I'm pointing yep, the white tile, a little girl and her dad was a fan of ours, and they gave it's my car coming down the return road with a heart-shaped cloud, and so the little girl made it for me. I mean, like, how precious is that? Um, so many amazing moments. Like the little kids would come to our pit, and at first I'd be like, "Hi, how are you?" And they were like, "We scared or whatever." And from experience, I've learned that they always come back. They see me make a pass and go, "Wow, I know her." And then they come back and they'll hug me and take pictures with me. And it is the cutest thing ever. And I mean, it's like one of my grandchildren was in foster care. Uh, and then so that was some dark days. And then my other grandchildren live out of state. So these children at the track were like my grandchildren. Like they filled in a spot in my heart, in my life. And it's very, very beautiful, memorable, and I'll cherish those moments forever.
Yeah. And so and this is kind of just rolls right into the girls, uh, the gorgeous Irwindale racing ladies.
Hmm?
What now that Irwindale is closing happens with that, I guess, first of all?
Um,
And then spin that right into telling me a little bit about it because it kind of fits right together with the last
Awesome. Okay. So the Girls of Irwindale, we are just an organization of women and girls encouraging each other to be the best that they could be at whatever. And we just love motorsports. Whatever kind it is, we don't care. At first it was kind of like a group at first, but that quickly changed. That wasn't in the cards. You know, God had different plans, and I needed to sit back and let God handle it and figure out the direction we were going. So we had a president, we had a vice president, we had these positions, but it just wasn't working out the way I had thought. But I just wanted people to find the joy at the track that we found. And I thought it was making a girls group, but that wasn't what God wanted. So anyways, we just encourage each other to be the best selves they could be. We also have another name. So I haven't decided yet if I'm just going to leave it the Gorgeous Irwindale Racing Ladies because that's where it started. Because it doesn't just stay there anyway. Like we are global. We have some girls in Sweden. Ida from the NHRA, she's a supporter of ours. Lindsay Wheelock, she's a supporter of ours. We have a lot of supporters and big names. So we just like to encourage each other. But we also have the Gorgeous International Racing Ladies. So I haven't decided I'm going to switch it, but I'm not really focusing a lot of attention on that because our main thing is our nonprofit. And I really need to just like I only have so many hours in the day and so many brain cells that I can focus on something. And my problem is I get too many things on my plate and then everything suffers because of it. So I need to keep focused on like a main course. And when the girls group kind of fizzled from being a group to like an organization, then my grandson went to foster care and I took my heartbreak and then I created Mavix Community Outreach.
Excellent, excellent, excellent. And we talked about that a little bit prior and what a neat initiative. How I so I see the line that makes it so why you created it, but I didn't realize it was like literally you that created it. What does it take to do something to put that together, while you do have all these other things going on?
Well, I mean, so like what we've been able to do, we partner with a few big partners. Foster Love is the largest nonprofit in the country for foster kids. They give us a lot of donations of items like skateboards, bicycles. They've given us hundreds of bikes, brand new canes, Canes Chicken. They donated bikes to them. They've donated them to us. Um, Clothing, shoes, like just endless toys, just endless amount of things. We've had some big partners. American Hot Rod Foundation partnered with us. My church, Humanity Church, is the one who actually connected me with Foster Love, which was a huge blessing. Street Racing Kills. I mean, uh, we've had some really amazing support. We've hosted a few events at Irwindale, but that's not our main thing. So it's not like the track being gone doesn't really hurt us as much as you would think that it would. When we host an event at the track, it's usually like 8 foster kids, so we don't even bring a lot out. We do get to bring my race car to schools, And we get to introduce them to the motorsports world by bringing the car there, and then they get up close and personal. We'll have a little spiel, we'll talk a little bit, start the car, they can sit in the car, take pictures, like, that interests them a lot. And my 2000 Camaro is more like their parents' cars. So it's more of a like it's like a 55 Chevy to us. You know how that's like the memories?
Mm.
Well, the 2000 Camaro is more of their memories. So it's pretty cool the way it works.
Well, and what impact do you see have that it has on these kids seeing all this stuff in motorsports?
We're hoping to connect them with some nonprofits who offer trade school scholarships. We want to get them hands on. You know, if you get an interest in something, you're a lot less likely to get yourself into trouble. And then if you're into the car scene, I mean that is consuming, as we all know. Any of us that are in the car scene, it's consuming, and yeah, there's so much goodness. The car community, whether you go to car shows, races, derbies, it doesn't matter what kind of motorsports event you go to, the car community is outstanding. And what better place to be mentored than with car people who love it? They love it so much they want to share it with you, you know?
It sounds like you just have so many things going on. Like there's not not a dull moment. How do you
No.
balance, I mean, with your kids and 10 grandkids, which is craziness, um, and the racing and the Mavix outreach and all how do you balance all of this to have to and again, coming from somebody who had an addiction, like, you can go wrong even doing the right thing if you don't watch it. So how do you manage all of that in your life?
Well, I don't really have balance in my life. I'm a total extremist. I have enough energy to keep me going to accomplish a lot of things. This year, well, actually 2024, I said I'm really going to focus on the nonprofit. Like I'm going to just that's my number one. That's what needs to be focused on. So I really put a lot more effort and time into it. I joined a ladies networking group, Glendora Boss Ladies, and we help build each other, and we help each other form the businesses and like, you know, action steps, because I didn't really have action steps that I was doing. I was just kind of like fumbling about. So now I have a marketing man who jumped on board, who's doing my website. He's going to help us get some funding. I have a fundraiser coordinator who's jumping on board as well. Like a lot of things have happened last year, and this year we'll start to really build and build. We're also going to partner with Together California, which is Christian Bale's new he's been working for years to get this together, where they built some housing out in Lancaster, and it's for foster siblings so they don't get separated. And Christian Bale built these beautiful houses where they'll live out there, and I had spoken with them, not him but the organization, and she said this year, mid-year, when they open, they would like to talk with us a little bit more and see about partnering and working together, collaborating. So anyway, so yeah, we look forward to collaborating and working with them. Hopefully, maybe bringing Stacy out there to Lancaster and show the kids the car, and you know, pique their interest. And then hopefully we can connect them with some kind of schooling. Um, it doesn't have to be motorsports though. Like I want the kids to have a good future no matter what. Whether it's I mean, there's so like photography, videography, there's so many outlets that do work in the motorsports industry, detailing so many things.
Right,
Mhm,
right, absolutely.
mhm.
Alright, so you've mentioned, like, you wanna leave a legacy like Wally Parks. Like,
Yep.
and I can see with all that you're doing, but what does that legacy look like to you?
That legacy just looks like when people hear my name, they know that we impacted a lot of youths and made a difference. And you know what? If you impact one person, the generational line could be endless. So it's not just one person. It's like the story of the little boy on the beach, and there's starfish all along the beach, and the little boy's picking them up and throwing them back. And the old man walks over and goes, "Dude, kid, you can't save all those starfish." And he goes, "But I can save this one." And he throws it in. You know what? If we can make any impact in any lives, mission is accomplished. We love the youth. They're so sweet. It's not their fault. They have a hard path, a hard road that was given to them. If we can make a difference, then that's all I could ask for.
Yeah. If you and this is, I often think about this for myself, but if you could go back and talk to your drunk self, like, from now with what you know now, what would you tell yourself?
I would tell myself to get on the bandwagon long ago. Do not waste all these years. I mean, God, I wasted so many years not accomplishing anything when I could have been thriving. I mean, God only knows where I could be right now if I would have been sober all those years. But it takes what it takes to get to where you're at. It takes all the lessons in life to become who you were meant to be. So I'm grateful. I'm grateful that I found this life. I'm grateful I found it when I did because mentally, I think if I was younger, fitter, hotter, um, if I wasn't the old lady that I am today, I don't know if all this would have worked. I just don't think I would have been in the right place. But yeah, I wish I would have started racing a lot younger. I just think of all the years I wasted. But I tell you what, in 5 years, I packed a lot, a lot into those 5 years.
You really, really, really have, and I used really 3 times in that statement.
Yep, yep.
Uh, how is, like, drag racing's an expensive sport, and, like, and you have to have a lot of people helping you out, like, working on the cars and stuff. And I see that you have, like, a team that you've put together, and now you've got people coming in and helping with the social media side and stuff. Who does all do you get out there and do all the wrenching on this car too, or who's
Oh,
doing all
no,
that
I
work?
don't wrench, but I'm the one that does the social media. No one else does the social media, which is a full-time job in itself, really. But, my husband does the wrenching on the car the majority of the time. We have Martin Charles, our race car technician, who occasionally works on the car. He's a he's a genius. He is, oh my, we call him the what is he? The Yoda of motorsports or something. I forget what my husband calls him. Um, yeah, Martin Charles is amazing. My tuner, Reggie, phenomenal. He dials her in and gets her tuned up and just gets her right, doing things she shouldn't be doing. Mike MVP at the auto Mike MVP Auto. He's also works on the car when needed, or would be like, "What is this?" And he goes, "Oh, it sounds like your flex plate's cracked." Which the big wheelies seem to always crack my flex plate. So I should have a stock of those on hand. Anybody in the flex plate industry that wants to partner with us? Because we go through those suckers a lot. What happens is when I go up in the wheelie and I land hard, it goes the motor and the transmission go like that. And it cracked my flex plate. So thankfully they're only a few $100s, but they add up because I went through 3 and 4 months. Um, And yeah, and then all the work my husband has to do to get the transmission out, to put the new flex plate in, and you know,
Do you use wheelie bars on the back of that thing? And is it just, I mean, like,
no,
would that solve that issue for you?
I wouldn't have wheelie bars. I'm bad about that. I call them sissy bars, and I don't mean anything by it, but me, I just like to go ham. I like to go hard. I like it to be just like kind of on the wild side.
Right, do you feel it makes you faster, have faster passes by not having the wheelie bars, or is just like you really get the rush of popping that wheelie as you're
I get
coming
the
off the
rush
line?
from popping the wheelie. Yeah, yeah.
Fair, fair, fair.
We
Are
tried toning them down, but they did go back up.
You're like,
Yeah.
That's how I jam. Um,
Right?
are there anything, like, in the last 5 years since you've kind of entered the world of motorsports, which is a little different from the world that you were in before, are
Mm.
there any, like, lessons, like, from just the people in the world of motorsports that you've learned that you did not expect to see?
Gosh. Well, I feel like when the girls group kinda crumbled in the beginning, that was some of the biggest life lessons I've ever had, and, as much as it hurt really bad, biggest growth I've ever had, and for that, I am so thankful. I'm so grateful. Yeah, it got me closer to God. I got during all those days, like 2 weeks of bedridden, depression, dark days, um, I ended up learning boundaries, and I learned yeah, I mean, I learned a lot. I learned a lot, and I'm so grateful that I was able to press into God to see what he was telling me to teach me. Um, you don't you just don't you don't wanna trust everybody. You can be friends with people, but you just gotta be careful. Um, yeah, and everybody has to do their part. Yes, you can help people become successful, but you also need to do your part to make yourself get it successful and to help build a team. And yeah, it's teamwork makes the dream work. Everybody's
So
got to pull their share.
so you've really kind of hit the scene and made a name for yourself kind of quick.
Thank you.
And tell me a little bit about what it's like now to go to PRI or to, do people just recognize you and then mention a little bit about this Hoosier tires, which, first of all, I'm from Indiana, so Hoosier very cool. And
Woo!
they don't make the Hoosier tires that are like with the white Hoosier letters on them because I think they would look so good on my 41 Chevy. But they don't make them for the DOT, like they're not for the going on the road. They're supposed to just be for traffic.
Oh,
Um now,
interesting.
that is a little side note about me. I think that they
That
would look
is
the best on my car though.
interesting. That would look sick because I love Hoosier. Yeah, I love, love, love Hoosier. So really quick, I'll go back to when I got my NHRA license. I have a buddy who does, well, he makes stickers and decals and all this. And as soon as I got my NHRA license, my husband did a thing where he put this uh, stencil and sprayed on my tire. It was Hoosier tires, Hoosier mama. So as soon as I got my license, it was Hoosier mama. so, um, so okay, for
But yeah,
PRI,
yeah, I
what?
was sorry. I like asked a question and then like threw 20 more things on top of it to
No,
answer
not
you
at
off.
all. Sorry.
No,
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 no.
no.
That was me.
So we so PRI is Cinderella balls for racer. Cinderella's ball, a Cinderella ball. I don't know how Cinderella's ball for racers. It's just outstanding. I wouldn't miss it. This is our 3rd year in a row of going. This year, we were extremely blessed with becoming Hoosier heroes. So I'm a Hoosier hero for 2025. It's an ambassador for their product, and it's someone who has accomplished a lot and helped other people. I believe because of the Mavix and the Girls of Irwindale, just trying to encourage people. Um, I was out of 2,000 nominations, I made top 25, and then they had voting for the top 25, and then we became the top 12, which is that's it. There's only the top 12. They don't go one. It's 12 of us are the Hoosier heroes for the year. And so we got to go to Indy and we got to have a hotel, airfare, uh, dinners, Ubers, Lyft rides, meals. Like it was, yeah, they treated us quite well. And I mean, what an honor to represent Hoosier. I've been chasing after Hoosier for 5 years, you know. My car runs faster with the Hoosier tire. My best passes have always been with a Hoosier tire. So I've been after them for a while and I'm so honored to represent them. Like, wow.
Yeah, I really find it like the Indy 500 people that I've interviewed, people both like in pit crews as well as
Mm,
team mechanics and racers, how much difference the tire actually makes. Like maybe one of the most important things and the little tiny idiosyncrasies and little differences in tires. They have entire days in those kind, in oval racing where they just go out and test tires. That's it. Just they're
jeez.
testing tires. It's
Wow.
yeah, it's really
That's
crazy.
crazy. Yeah, tires make a big difference. That's for sure. Yep.
So
Love
so
Hoosier.
are do you have any more projects coming up? Anything crazy and big that you're excited about? Or is it kind of a little bit of a lull at the moment?
It is actually a lull because so the end of the last season, we had the Hoosier Heroes, we had PRI, we had the closing of the track, and all that high from all that excitement and all that stuff going on. And then Christmas came and the family came out. We were busy, busy, busy. And now we're not. And now it's kind of like I'm in a little funk. I'm kind of going through a little funk, but we're going to go test.
You were able to finally make time for me.
Yes, I'm grateful for that. I'm so thankful you had me on. We've been talking about this for a while.
Yeah, it's
But
so
yeah,
cool.
during those times, there was no way. My brain was all about the Hoosier Heroes thing. I couldn't focus on anything. I was a disaster. So now it's like all the excitement has got, you know, everything's happened and now it's like, uh and I just got to make sure I get myself picked up and keep moving and not get stagnant, not moving, you know.
Yeah. Well, and now that your local track is gone, where are you gonna go to race now? Like,
Yeah.
that's gonna have to be a little bit different. Are you coming down here to San Diego?
We will go to San Diego, we'll go to Bakersfield, um, maybe some Chuckwalla, maybe, but that's no prep. Uh, I mean, we're gonna have to travel, which is gonna cost a lot more money and make it a lot more inconvenient. We were 7 minutes from the track.
They
Now
used to
we're 2.5 minimum.
they used to have street legal racing here at Qualcomm
Yep,
Stadium
yep.
before when the Chargers were here, and I would go out there and run there. And now you have to go all the way out to Verona, which, in a 10-gallon fuel cell with my 383,
Oh,
I'm gonna have to stop twice to get gas on the way out there, you know?
oh gosh.
Ah, it's no fun.
Wow.
No fun.
Yeah, it's a bummer. Definitely heartbroken.
Are there any questions that I did not ask you that you thought, "This bald-headed man is gonna ask me this question," and he totally missed it?
I don't think so. I mean, I feel like we covered a lot, actually.
We really did, we really did.
I think so.
Okay, if somebody wants to find you and follow you on social media and through Mavix and all these things,
Okay.
this is that time. Lay it on 'em.
Okay. So my Facebook, Kelly Barr Anderson, my Instagram, Full Throttle Fabulous, and our website for Mavix Community Outreach is mavixcommunity.org. Um, yeah, and you can find out pretty much anything else from any of those areas.
Okay. Awesome, awesome, awesome. Well, thank you so much for taking some time out of your day. It was really neat to sit down and talk, to you, and neat that, we could dig into the sobriety thing that we both share and our
Yeah,
love for cars, and, you've done so much in the last 5 years. Who the heck knows? And, we still got plenty of nitrous left in our cylinder back here.
that's right.
So I'm excited to keep a watching. And when you come out to San Diego, I'm going to be there. Oh,
Yes, I will let you know when we're coming out there for sure. I look forward to it.
awesome. Me too. Thank you so much, Kelly.
Thank you. I appreciate you, darling.